everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And that should be in the Bible somewhere. It's probably in the right. Everybody has a plan, man. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a statement about life until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Because life is freaking hard. Who cares about Christianity? Take spirituality out of it. Life itself is hard.
Yeah. Would you say God calls Christians to suffer?
This is when we start getting to the weeds of nuances. And
hey, everybody. I'm here with Pastor Andrew Damazio with Rose Church in Portland, Oregon. And we're going to be having a conversation I think is extremely important for this generation because as we step into a season where we're seeing more of young people come to know Jesus, follow Jesus, the number of young people buying Bibles is up. The number of people choosing to follow Jesus is up. All these kind of things are happening. I think one of the dangers is that when they are confronted with the reality of following Jesus, of life and things, is that many of them might start to fall away when they encounter suffering, when they encounter struggle and things. And so Pastor Andrew Damazio, he preached an incredible message at a conference we were at. My wife was absolutely she was going through something at the time, and it just really just impacted her. And we're still walking through it, and it's helping her in that. And so we're going to have him, we're going to ask some questions, just have him talk about this topic of suffering. And let's put it this way. If you're going through something right now, this is going to help you. If you're not going through something right now, you will, and it'll help you then. So we're gonna jump into this topic. Anything you want to do just to introduce yourself, or anything before we just start, throwing some questions out there?
Yeah, man. Like you said, my name's Andrew. My wife and I, Julia, we lead a church downtown Portland called the Rose Church, and we started it. We just celebrated 8 years here just a few months ago. We started with 22 people in a living room in my mother-in-law's house, and so now 8 years later, building a church downtown. I'm a pastor's kid. My dad was a pastor for 45 years, so I was raised in the church. Was a PK. So did that whole experience, and then planted a church here a couple of years ago. So we got 3 kids. We got a 12, 10-year-old and 4-year-old. So we're in the thick of it.
Yeah, you are.
But
yeah, we're kind of in the same thing. We have a 14, 12, 10, 8. So
okay.
You're
in it.
Jumping into those years. I think it's more fun than when they were babies, because I'm like, y'all can actually talk about something. But
yeah, for sure.
You can tie your own shoes and get yourself out the door. But
there's a sweet window where it goes from like, oh, you're like a human. You can tie your own shoes, you can grab your bag, you can go find your shirt. And then they turn into, teenagers. And then it's like, oh, you should stop talking. Like, oh, you should, we're not going to talk about this right now. So it goes from you're so excited for them to talk. And then it's like, hey, can you stop talking for just 5 minutes? So, yeah.
Well, like I said, we're going to talk about it's a tough topic because people don't like it.
Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of leads me into my first question. Thought is, why do you think as a culture we shy away from suffering? I think we do it more than other cultures maybe. Why do you think we do it so much?
Yeah, I think there's 2 massive parts of this conversation. I think there's a spiritual side and the cultural side that we're having hard times with. I think to address the first part of what you mentioned, we have a cultural issue with the idea of suffering, which is, I would submit, is a Western issue, not an Eastern issue. I think when you meet people from Asia and India and Africa and the other half of the world, they assume suffering is baked into their experience. We do not. I think when you meet an Eastern person, they assume that life is hard, life is difficult, money is not falling off trees, and food is not always coming every meal, and success is not always your portion. And right. So they just believe that life is difficult and suffering is a part of the package. I think because of the success of the West, because of what we have, just from simple things, access to water, food, the ability of success, the ability of upward mobility, just the life that we have on the West, I think that has created an insulated ideal of like, no, suffering doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I make 150 grand a year. I have 2 doctorates. I own a business. I come from no. This does not happen to people like me. And that's, I think, one of the core issues of Western civilization and the Western intellect of suffering is it doesn't happen to people like me. So when we're bred into that thinking, when we are, insulated into that thinking, well, then when suffering does happen to me or to people like me, it dishevels us. It sets us off. And of course, you're like, no, there's no way this is happening to me. Where, again, I think when the Eastern mind, they assume it's coming. They assume it's going to happen. So they're not shocked by it. They're not alarmed by it. They don't think, why me? They're like, of course me. This is how life is. This is how life goes. So I think a lot of it is a huge gap between Eastern and Western thought, Eastern and Western life experience. I think that for sure has a play in it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. It's almost like there's 2 tests. There's the test of suffering, and there's the test of perceived success. And it's like both of them have a trial to run through, a thing to have. So then when suffering happens, of course, we have this mindset more than others. The question then becomes, why does God allow suffering? That's the big, the theodicy and the whole deal. Why does God allow suffering? And because I'm sure you've had these questions. What do you tell people?
It's the cosmic question of the age. I saw a bumper sticker in Portland a couple years ago, and it said, "God is good. God is all powerful. Suffering exists. Pick 2 of the 3."
Yeah,
they all can't exist. So either he's really good, and he's not all powerful, so therefore suffering exists, or he's not all good, and he is all powerful, and he allows suffering. He could stop it, but he does it, and that's why he's not all good. Or he's really, really good, he's not all powerful, and just suffering happens. Like, the bumper sticker, I think, is a great starting place. Like, you have to choose 2 of the 3. All 3 cannot exist. Well, Christians believe all 3 exist.
Yeah.
Christians believe that he is all good, he is all powerful, and suffering exists. And that's a massive claim. That's a very difficult claim that we hold. And it's a great question. Like, then why doesn't God stop it? What's interesting about that notion is you have to. I will say you have to choose one of the 2, because what we want free will. Is what I think maybe more an atheist or agnostic or like not a Jesus follower is like, no, I don't want a God that crosses my will. I do not want to be told what to do. Hyper individual, hyper self-autonomy, hyper self-agency. I will not be told what to do. I believe in a God that offers free will. Okay, until someone uses that free will to do something evil, then we say, God, why didn't you stop it?
Right.
Well, because they have free will. No, you should have crossed their free will because they're going to use their free will for evil. Oh, so you want selective free will. You only want people to have free will when they use it in a righteous way. But when they use their free will in a bad way, now we want God to cross free will. That's not how God works. He has given free will, period. Even in the garden, you see this is pretty profound. That I asked this question in the book of Genesis, in the garden. When God sees the serpent talking to Adam and Eve, he could have easily just stepped in and said, you're not going to talk to them. You're not going to say that. So he could have crossed even the serpent's will. So God does not just give humans free will. He gives all beings free will.
Yeah.
This realm and that one, which is kind of hurts my brain a bit. That like he gives free will, period. And he will not cross it. So the word Eden means paradise, delight, right? So we're supposed to live in this thing called Eden. So in God's world, in God's mind, paradise is a place where every single being that lives inside of it surrenders their free will to God and obeys his way. That's paradise. What is hell? When everyone living in that world takes their will, their agency, does what they want. So yeah, we serve a God that is good. We serve a God that is perfect. We serve a God that is all powerful, but he's also given free will.
Yeah.
And suffering in the world exists because of free will, because of humans doing what Judges says they did what was right in their own eyes. And we still live in that age. We still live in a world that does what is right in their own eyes. And so it is an incredibly hard, number one, just philosophical and moral subject to wrestle down, let alone a spiritual one, let alone a biblical one on how we go through the text, Old and New Testament, all the people that suffer greatly. Um, my dad used to always say, if Jesus didn't get out with no suffering, why do we think we're going to? Like,
Yeah.
we think we're more special than Jesus, right? Like, so when suffering attacks our life or suffering is in our life, we're like, what? Why me? I can't believe this happened to me. As if, we're more special than Jesus and he got out scotch free. And so I think it's in Romans or Hebrews that, that the writer says that if God did not spare his own son, why do you think that he's going to spare you as well? Right? So suffering is baked into the human experience. It's unavoidable. And this is why I think this subject is so important, because I think, at least in my circles, I don't know yours, I don't know all the listeners and those who are listening, whether it's Methodist or Baptist or Lutheran or Catholic or whatever, I was raised in a more Pentecostal, charismatic circle of the faith. And I just feel like we gave people a faith that led them toward deconstruction.
Okay.
I think how we preached, I think how we told the gospel, I think how we bait and switched people into come and serve Jesus. I think we gave them the early makings of deconstruction, so that when suffering came, when life became hard, they're like, wait a minute, this is not what I was told that was going to happen. And then it starts spiraling their life because they were given the prosperity. Life is going to get better, bigger and better to the right. You're going to get the car, you're going to get the house, you have the 3 kids and the dog and the fence, and you're going to have it. You're going to have the whole thing if you serve Jesus. That's not what the gospel offers. That's not what the New Testament offers whatsoever. And so I feel like if we were more faithful to the text and we were more faithful to the scriptures, we would give people way more steady foundation to serve Jesus, and that when life does come crumbling down, they're not shocked, they're not in awe, and they have a strong enough faith to survive the loss of a spouse or the loss of a business or the death of a relationship or the so and so walking out. I think we just gave people a very shallow faith that when suffering happened they were shocked, and I don't think it's bode well. So I just think this conversation is around suffering is a huge important conversation right now. Otherwise, we're going to lose a bunch of people. That is unnecessary.
Yeah. You said something that was very interesting. What then does the New Testament offer us? What then does the gospel offer us? You know what I mean? Because that's we presented. It's going to get better. So then, what is the presentation? What's the offer?
Yeah, so I have a question. Where in the New Testament does it show it gets better? It seems to me like it gets worse for a lot of people, right? So, I think what the New Testament offers is salvation. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the gospel is. That at the end of time, when his kingdom comes, when Jesus returns, we will be saved.
Yeah.
Eternity, salvation, forgiveness of sins. That's what it offers. It doesn't offer you making 200 grand. It doesn't offer your spouse never getting cancer. It does not offer your children all serving Jesus, right? Even like the Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is a set of principles, not promises, right? Like the book of Proverbs, even where it says like, raise a child in the way that they shall go, they'll never depart. That's not a promise. A ton of parents raise their children correctly, and they depart from the faith.
Yeah.
That is not a promise, a definite promise. That is a principle. If you will raise your children this way, they will most likely not wander from the faith. They will have a better path forward. But I know a ton of amazing parents that raise their children well that departed from the faith. So, I just think we need to repackage what the gospel actually is, what the New Testament actually offers, the words and statements of Jesus, and that's what I think it is. It is the forgiveness of sins. It is imputed righteousness. It is eternal salvation. It is eternal security. It is being remade in the image and likeness of Christ. It is all of those things, the fruit of the Spirit. It is not a peaceful journey. It is not a secured future. It is not of a bubble away from the world. It is not a promise of all of those things. I mean, I don't know, man. I think it seems to be the opposite. Jesus says, hey, by the way, if they hated me, they're going to hate you. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be a hard journey for you. So, yeah, man, that's what I think we just need to circle back around, and said we're offering this like veneer fake gospel that a ton of people are buying into, and then life falls apart, and they're like, wait a minute, this is not what you promised me.
Yeah,
So,
and it matters so much. Like I said, as we watch all these young people coming to Jesus, it's so important that when they do, they know what they're stepping into. They know that the trappings of life are not the promise, and
yep.
because then you can actually know Jesus. Because it's not Jesus and I get this, Jesus and I'll get, is I can actually just know him. Anything
Yep.
else that comes, great, that's awesome. But if I can know him, as Paul said,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep.
Kind of a switch of a question. What would you say what are the benefits of suffering?
Oh man, I think there's a lot, and I think the Bible talks a lot about it. Especially the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians, he talks quite a bit about his suffering and the results therein. I mean, off the top of my head, I think number one, I think suffering. Okay, I'll say suffering gives you the opportunity to be these things. There's an age-old saying that says the same sun that hardens the mud melts the snow.
Okay.
So the sun doesn't change. It's the surface on which the sun shines upon that dictates what happens. So either the sun can harden you or melt you. I would submit, within that saying, that's also talking about suffering. Oftentimes in the Bible, the word the sun or heat is a metaphor of pain, suffering, life difficulty. So I think that saying is suffering will either melt you or harden you. Like, you get to choose what suffering does. Suffering's going to do what it does. You get to choose how you respond. So again, I met some people that suffering has made them hard, bitter, calloused, angry, resentful. Like, suffering turned them into a human they did not want to be. I've also met people that have been through deep, deep, deep waters that are the most kind, gentle, soft people in the world. So before I even go down like the list off the top of my head, I think we get to choose. How do we want suffering to form us?
Yeah.
If you go on the ladder and you let suffering melt you instead of harden you, I would say number one, I think it should make you a kinder and softer person. I think it gives you a perspective of other humans that are going through deep, deep waters, and it gives you a soft heart, a soft perspective. It allows you to give you grace. I think just so many people that have strong opinions about other people's sufferings. If that happened to me, I would never. You have no idea how you would respond if your wife died in a car crash.
Yeah.
Like, if that's never happened to you like, even ontologically, just as a human standpoint, how your body would respond, how your mind, like, you have no idea how you would respond if you got that phone call, hey, your husband just died in a car crash. Wow, I would start quoting verses, and that's what I would, really? Like, that's how you think. Or bearing a child, or losing a business. Well, I'd start a new one. So you think if you spent 20 years of your sweat, your tears, and your money, and your everything, and that, COVID ruins it. Like, you ruin everything. Your response, like, I'm just gonna start a new one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all these very real scenarios that these people go through that, unless you've experienced similar deep waters, you typically respond with, like, be better, do harder, try harder. Like, so I think the first thing that suffering does is it gives you a softened perspective.
Yeah.
And response to people. Second, I think on the other end, I think it gives you a grit. I think suffering has the ability to give you a backbone, to give you a like, oh, I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to put my shoulders back. I'm going to strengthen my spine. I'm going to, even like, if I was going to get in a fist fight, I want to fight the person that's never been punched before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to fight someone who's never been hit in the face, because when they receive that first punch, they don't know how they're going to respond. You know who I don't want to fight? Someone who's been in 100 fights, because they're not scared of getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
I think that's the same in life. I think it's the people that have been through trial after trial after trial. It's the people that have gotten up after been knocked down time after time. It's what? It's a backbone. It's grit. It's strength. It is perseverance that, Romans calls it. Hope gives way to perseverance. So I think it has the ability to give you a soft heart and a softness. I think it has the ability to give you perseverance and a grit and a backbone. I think it has the ability to give you real relationships. I think people that you suffer with. I think people that you process with. I think it gives you a depth of relationship. I wrote this in my book. I wrote about suffering, and my editor told me to take it out, but I told her I'm not doing it. I said I have a really hard time emotionally and relationally connecting to people who have been through nothing. I just have a hard time. I just don't know what you want to talk about. In some ways, I don't even trust your opinion about life itself, because it's veneer at this point. So you have this ideal, you have this, intellectual ideal that you think life is, but there's been no boulder. There's been nothing that's come through that ideal that has tested it. So even I just have a hard time relating to people that have been through nothing yet, because they will eventually, right? Whether they're 20 or 30, it's like, you have not had life tested yet. Mike Tyson, the prophet Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And that should be in the Bible somewhere. It's probably in the right. Everybody has a plan, man. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a statement about life until they get punched in the face. And life changes. Your perspective changes. So I think it just changes how you relate. It changes how you, relate to your community, your relationships. Last, I would say suffering changes how you read the Bible. D.A. Carson says that suffering is a hermeneutic. Hermeneutic meaning how you study and interpret the Bible. Suffering is a lens of how you read the text. I think when there's all these verses that we can read, that we can quote, that are cute and they're nice and they're good preaching, text or whatever, until you've been through suffering hell and back, I guarantee you come back to those verses and they mean something very, very, very different.
Yeah.
So I think actually suffering is a great lens and a way that forms and shapes our ability to read the Bible, and it shapes how we view those verses. And last, I would say, again, I might give you a different list tomorrow, but this is off the top of my head right now. I think suffering embodies our spirituality. I think it embodies what we actually believe and live.
Yeah.
I think it changes our relationships. It changes how we read the Bible. It changes how we think about tomorrow. It changes how we think about heaven. It changes how we view our bodies. It changes, like if we don't believe the resurrection is true and I'm going to get a new body, well, then cancer has a grip upon my soul. Or being in a wheelchair, or losing a limb, or. But if I know and believe the resurrection is true and I will receive my body back one day, that embodies how I live here, right? So I think suffering and loss, I think, has the opportunity to truly embody what we believe in here and the now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's what I'd say. At least the first couple off my head.
Yeah, I think what you said also about it giving you the grit. I feel like that is something that we have lost a lot in this generation now. The grit, just the get through it, because there is a mindset of like, if it hurts, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it doesn't make you feel good, stop it. And I would say that if you're watching this, like, embrace it, embrace the struggle, because it it builds you in a way that nothing else can.
Dude, don't even get me. I don't know if you want to talk about this because it's not really in our conversation, but like, don't get me started on the whole gentle parenting like stuff right now. Like the generation after me and two below me are the softest people in the world. We need to get I know we swung because I think the boomers probably beat Gen X too much. I think we probably swung to kids getting spanked with a switch. And just right, it's like we just swung so far away. But like Gen Z and Gen Alpha are going to be the softest generation if we don't make some adjustments. They are allergic to pain. They're allergic to something being difficult and hard. They're allergic to physical labor. Like even to get a kid to go outside for 2 hours and pull weeds, it's like, I can't do it, Dad. My legs hurt. I can't do one more step. I'm like, bro, it's been 30 minutes. Like you need to get a backbone. So again, I think how we're raising our kids is setting them up for failure in the future.
Yeah.
Because life is freaking hard. Who cares about Christianity? Take spirituality out of it. Life itself is hard.
Yeah.
Being an adult is hard. Raising children is hard. Bearing your friends is hard. Getting fired is hard. Being married is hard. Period. Yeah. With or without God, by the way.
Yeah.
So I just think we need to raise the next generation with a backbone and grit and perseverance. Like, bro, life's hard. And I think, I have two sons. So I have a boy, girl, boy. My oldest is a boy. He'll be 13 here in a few months. And I'm pretty hard on that kid. Probably harder than I should be. But I'm swinging a little the other way because I reject gentle parenting. Like the other tournament, he plays baseball on a club team. He's a pretty good athlete. He plays on like a private club team, whatever. And two tournaments ago, his team didn't play great, but he did. 6 for 7, had some huge RBIs, had some great double, played really, really well, but we lost. This last weekend, we won a lot. We lost in the championship. We went 4-1. He played horrible. He did not play great. So we get in the car, and I'm challenging him. Like, hey, welcome to sports. 2 weekends ago, you played really well. You played like trash today. You need to take ownership.
Yeah.
Well, the team played great. You did not show up for your team today. You did not contribute to your team today. And so I'm challenging this kid on, it's from sports to friendships. Like, hey man, your friend was over the other day and you didn't ask him one time, what movie do you want to watch? It was what you wanted to watch. You didn't ask him what time. What do you want to eat? It was, Dad, I want to have this for dinner. You need to be more aware of when you have friends over. They are the guests. Like I'm trying to help form this kid.
Oh yeah.
Into like an adult.
Yeah.
I know he's only 12. I don't care. I told him the other day he was doing the dishes. He's like, Dad, I'm tired. I was like, 14-year-olds used to go to war. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
no, I get it.
I'm trying to give him a backbone and grit. Like, bro, life's hard.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to it, man. Like, you need to figure this out quickly. Life is not fair. Sports is not fair. Relationships are not fair. School is not fair. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to give him a mental awareness, even at 12. Life's hard, dude.
Yeah. Like telling your kids the truth. Telling your kids, you know what? Not everybody can't be the president. Everybody can't be an astronaut. Everybody can't be. Nope. It's just not. It's not the way it is. So.
Nope. Yeah.
Anyways, that was just.
Yeah, so I think. I think. Well, honestly, it's a rant, but it matters. Like, I think
it does. It does.
Again, even how we parent our children into this idea that like life is hard, suffering is going to happen. You are not special.
Yeah.
You are not the best kid in the room. You are not special. You're not going to avoid this. I think is such an important way that we train our kids as Christians, as spiritual formed people. What about God? Yeah, God's in it, but life is going to happen. Like, you serving Jesus does not erase you from being human. It doesn't escape you from the human experience. You need to know this. So, and I think I'll add to that why this whole conversation. It's a fun rant, and we can continue because it makes me upset. But like, it's an important rant because we also need to allow our children to watch us suffer.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of this as well. Is like, man, I mean, just for me, it's been a rough couple of years. You know, buried my sister, buried my dad, buried a friend that goes to our church, buried my friend's daughter. Um, it's been a rough couple of years
Man.
around here. Let alone being married and having kids in church, and just like it's been a couple of years of like extreme loss. And I didn't hide that from my kids. I didn't go cry alone in my room so they didn't see their dad cry. I didn't make sure that they never saw it. I didn't like, hey, like me and your mom need to talk about some stuff. Can you leave the room? Like, they're only 12 and 10, but like, I think they would have a pretty big, understanding as of late. Dude, life's hard, and my parents have cried, and my dad like has had to like. They've heard me talk on the phone. They've heard me like talk about stuff that's happened, and like they're aware.
Yeah.
So I think even as parents, any parents watching, we need to suffer in front of our kids. Now, of course, there's wisdom. Please don't tell your kids everything. Hey, just so you know, we lost all of our money. You might not have food tomorrow. Like, okay, let's not give our kids a scarcity mindset, right? So, of course, there's wisdom. Of course, there's boundaries. Of course, there's stuff your kids should not know. Please do not take this to the extreme and go tell your kids everything. But there has to be a healthy balance that our children are watching their parents suffer well.
Yeah.
Because if we suffer in private, and our kids have never watched us do it, that's building, oh, I had a great life. My home was perfect. My parents never went through anything. And you're like, well, no, that's a lie. We had a really difficult decade, whatever. Like, well, I didn't see it. Exactly. So you're not overtly saying it, but you're subliminally adding to your children's narrative. Oh, life is perfect. Nothing ever happens in my home. Nothing has ever been difficult for my parents. That's a lie.
Yeah.
So that, I think that adds to just like, hey, life is hard, suffering is real, and you need to find a way to work your way through it. As a human, just as a human experience, and as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, how do we wrestle with a very real tension? I thought God was good. I thought he was all powerful. Why did he allow this to happen to me? It's a huge tension. So I think we need to work our way through it with our children and with ourselves. Otherwise, we will be greatly malnourished Christians.
Yeah. Would you say God calls Christians to suffer? Like that is a actual call to do versus, just life happens and da da da.
Yeah. This is when we start getting to the weeds of nuances and words and meanings, right? And definitions. So I know some scholars offer or argue that God is in charge. He's not in control. So their argument is like Romans 8:28. He will work all things out. He's in charge. He will work all things out, but he's not in control, as in like crossing free will. Stop this, stop that.
Right.
That can't come. Like he's not in control. He allows things to happen, but he is in charge. Then there's the John Pipers and the others like, oh no, you were raped for God's glory. He's going to use everything that happened and he allowed it on purpose. Well, then if that's true, then we have a lot of stuff to work our way through. So the baby dying, the rape, the murder, so we're talking about every deep demonic thing that has happened to people. It's not just that God allowed it. He wanted it to happen. Right. He wrote it into your story so that he might receive the glory. All right, well, now we're venturing into a very different perspective of, number one, God himself. Number two, scripture. Number two, sovereignty. Like now, like I don't know about that. So no, I don't know if I scripturally would walk down the path that God wants his children to suffer. God writes it into the story. He writes it into the plan. He wants every single human to suffer, because without suffering, what? People won't be formed. People won't be, deep. People won't be like Christ. People what? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can go down the line that it is in God's heart and plan that every single human or every Christian suffers because he wants it or he longs for it. I don't think I can get there scripturally. I think there's some big gaps there. What I do think is that God uses suffering to his glory, and God redeems suffering for his glory. But to say that God wants it, or that God writes it into the narrative, or to say that God orchestrates it, I think now we've ventured into a different realm of conversation that
Sure.
I have a hard time with. Now, I think that conversation comes from Job, right? I think this story comes from Job. And again, there's a literary argument. Was Job real?
Mm-hmm.
Was it fake? Was it a fable? Was it a story? Was Job a real character that always really happened? Or was this a genius literary form of telling a story about how God redeemed suffering? That argument is out there. But I think that conversation, what I just said with the pipers and whatever, is coming from Job 1, because the devil goes to God and says, let me touch him. And God says, yeah, go ahead. So therefore, God is allowing. God allows the devil to do these things. So that, I think that's one of the texts where that argument comes from.
Sure. And because the allowing it's a big question. Like, God could have stopped it, right? And I think he goes back into, free will, et cetera. And there's different ones. There's free will in terms of drunk driver hits somebody and now they can't walk. And then there's the, well, my baby's just born missing limbs, And so processing that, how would you help somebody process that in terms of God could have stopped it, but he didn't, and now here we are.
Yeah. So two of my this happened just a little bit ago. Two of my close friends that are younger than me, probably 10 years younger than me, but like I've kind of raised both of them from like, they got saved when I was a youth pastor, but they were 14, and I've known them since then. They started dating end of high school, now got married, and they're key leaders in our church. They got pregnant 2.5 years ago, and had a baby girl. And about 6, 9, 12 months in, they started noticing some major developmental gaps. And then she got diagnosed, I think a year and a half in, of I can't remember the name right now. I think it's called SIMS is the short name for it, but a huge developmental brain body issue. She'll be have a very, very difficult life. And I remember the phone call the day that they found out that she was officially diagnosed. SMS is what it's called. That she got diagnosed with this, and went over to their house and sat on the couch with them, and of course they're both losing it. Because all the dreams, it's not the reality of the phone call, it's also all of the future that dies.
Yeah,
it's because she'll never walk, she'll most likely never talk, she'll most likely need hands-on help every day as long as she lives. And is she going to live till 5, 7, 15? They don't know. She's 2.5, 3 right now. Right. So that I think that's what people don't understand about suffering, is suffering doesn't just rob the moment in right now. It also robs every future thing you thought was coming.
Yeah. So
playing with her, walking with her, talking with her, like all of the things you knew were coming are now removed. And I remember sitting on the couch and all these questions are coming up. Where's God? Why would he ever do this? Why didn't he stop it? Then if God knew this was going to happen, why did he allow us to get pregnant? If all of it, right? Like you go down the gamut of all of the emotions, right? And there in this moment, in deep anger, right? Like deep anger and confusion. Again, seminary doesn't train you for this stuff. There is no class that walks you through those conversations. And by the way, even if there was a class, that is not the same as doing it.
Yeah.
Right. You can read a book all you want about jumping out of a helicopter until you got to go to the edge of that helicopter and jump out. Right. So you can read all these pastoral books about caring for people through suffering. You can read every one of them and have a bunch of knowledge. Like, I'm going to say this. If they say this, here's my response. Until you sit on the couch in front of someone and have to answer those questions, it is not the same. And I try to offer all of it, every from scriptures to my perspective about life, and try to offer any ease that I can in that moment. And again, I I'm also not just trying to throw verses at him either, right? Like, well, Bible says this, and you know this, and you believe this, and you know that Romans, and you know that Revelation. Hey, you know heaven's real, so don't worry about it. You know that one day, right? It's all the unhelpful, correct answers, just unhelpful.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, about suffering. You know, yeah. So they're tough conversations to have. But this is why we need to have them, because that stuff is happening all of the time. Those phone calls are coming, those emails are coming, um, to people all around the world all of the time. So I just think that Christians, specifically pastors and authors and writers, just need to get better at this conversation. Because I just think in the past, maybe the 90s and 2000s in the world I was raised in, just the answers were not helpful.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem too, is the conversation in and of itself, the wrestling wasn't really allowed to be had. It was,
No,
if you're having if you're wrestling, you're doubting, you're failing, you're not holding on to,
you're doubting Thomas.
yeah,
You're Judas if you're wrestling. It's like, how dare you? It's like, what if I was asking some questions? Like, no, you're not allowed to.
yeah,
You can't ask those kind of questions. Like, you're doubting God.
yeah. And we need, like, I would even say, a lot of, like you said, setting up the deconstruction, from not being allowed to have these questions. And partially because I think there's times when you're afraid you don't have an answer. So then you say, well, don't ask the question because I don't have an answer for it, versus
Yeah.
going, listen, we're both wrestling with this. Let's just wrestle with it together. And if you get an answer first, you let me know. So,
Yeah.
um, so with this conversation, someone's going through pain. How do we walk through pain well? What would you say? Look, here's some things just to walk through it.
Yeah. I think just like, hey, man, how do I suffer well? Off the top of my head, if I was walking somebody through suffering, I would say, and it's not in order, of importance, but I would say number one, you need to suffer. Being, cry, mourn, weep. Do not shove it down. Like, if you are going to suffer well, suffer. Like, admit what's going on. Cry, weep, mourn, go to counseling. Like, have some bad days. Like, do not shove it. Do not, don't compress it. Don't, ignore it. Don't over spiritualize it. Like, sit in it. Like, if anyone's going to suffer well, they're going to have to suffer. They're going to have to walk through what they're going through. Like, live in it. Second, I would say don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Isolation is the devil's playground. Like, if you're going to suffer well, you're going to suffer in a community. You're going to have people that are on the couch with you. You're going to have people that are answering the phone. You're going to have people walking to the appointments with you. You're going to have people doing the funeral stuff with you. You're going to you're going to suffer in community. Third, you're going to suffer with God. Everybody that suffers runs somewhere. That's running to a bottle, that's running to pills, that's running to sex, that's running to anger, that's running to ignoring, right? That's where some people run. It's like, it'll never happen, I'm totally good. No, you're running to what you think is safety. So I'd say, third or fourth, whatever number I'm on, suffer with God. Like, take your pain to God. Read the scriptures, read the Psalms, read the Old Testament, read the life of Jesus. Like, take your sufferings to God. Yeah, I mean, that'd be the first couple off the top of my head. Like, I think if you do those things, you're going to you're going to suffer well. Last, which I think is just the overarching, which I said in the beginning, don't let the sun harden you. Let it melt you. Hey, like, let suffering transform you. If you're going to suffer well, let it change you. I have a lot of tattoos. And one of my leg is from Matthew 26, and the tattoo says, "I want my oil." And it's from Matthew 26, where, like, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane, which means oil press, squeezing, a place of crushing. My whole thing is, if I have to go through this, I want my oil.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to go through this, I am not coming out empty-handed. Like, what a waste of a moment of suffering to come out being the same person. Like I want my oil. I want to change. I want this to change everything about me. If I have to go through it, I want my oil. So yeah, man. I think that'd be a couple things. I'm like, again, but that's the hard part. Even with suffering, it's like here's a list of 5 things. Go do these things.
Sure.
Suffering is not fair for everyone. Suffering is not a linear test. Suffering is it a moment of suffering, 10 years of suffering? Has this been a life of suffering? Is this your suffering? Is it your spouse suffering? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the other part is I think suffering isn't 1 + 1 = 2. It's like it's 1 + 1 = 2 for you. It's 1 + 1 = 5 for me. It's just like it's different. So even like the list I'm giving, I don't even want to like, well, here's the 4 things you give someone. It is so different. But I think as a generic framework, I think you could do those things and suffer well.
Yeah. When you were mentioning the ignoring, I think that's kind of where we've become as a culture. Our phones have been a great escape, and I don't have to think about I hurt if I can just doom scroll. And the problem is that it gives the illusion of feeling nothing when in reality you're torn apart. And as a young person listening to this, it is going to be the hardest thing you do, as he said, to allow yourself to feel what you feel. And I'd say I'm going to turn this off some way, because it's the only way. It's the only way to actually heal, and it's the only way to actually find comfort in God is if you're with him, if you're talking to him, if you're processing with him, and other people are helping you do it too. So here's the last question, and it kind of sums up the beginning part of the conversation. How do we keep comfort from becoming our God?
Move out of America. I mean, yeah, it's a great question. I also don't have an answer for you. I mean, I made a joke, move out of America, but I do think part of it is like, obviously, it's finances, it's time off. I get it, whatever. But travel, get around the world and see some other spaces and places of people that live differently than you. And I'm pretty sure you'll come back to the States with hopefully, a great thankfulness for the life that you get to live. You know, like just travel a bit. And I think you'll get out of your comfort zone and see the people that live differently, I mean, wildly different than you, and go, oh, there's another experience that people are living that I am not having. And by the way, you don't have to travel to Africa to do that. Whatever city you're listening to, walk downtown, walk, the streets of the colleges, like just move around. There are people around you that are living a wildly different experience. I think that is why it is this is a whole nother conversation, and it's in my mind right now because I'm in my master's program. I have a year left of my master's, and so my mind is in academia right now. But the class I'm taking right now is on race, injustice, reconciliation, a flourishing world. Like, how do Christians respond to the world? And I think one of the most dangerous aspects of the modern church is that we are comfortable building homogeneous communities. And not just communities, but tables, right? So all of our tables look like us, act like us, talk like us, vote like us. Like one author calls it bubble inclusion. Like we just bubble ourselves to building what we look like. And so I think one of the major ways is not to live, to answer your question, not to live in this God of comfort, is be surrounded by people that are not in comfortable seasons. And you'll be reminded day in and day out, comfort is a facade. Because John is going through this, and Sarah's going through this, and Michael is going through this, and Jason's going through this, and my friend, whatever. Like, be surrounded by pain and suffering. Be surrounded by those who don't make as much money as you, or whatever, right? Like, with kids, like, hey, we have 3 kids. Are you also surrounded by people that can't have kids? No, I'm not saying, again, go find an infertile mother. They're like, hey, can you be my friend? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying just is like when you are surrounded, it's like one of my best friends, me and Julia, my wife, one of our best friends, are barren. Like they cannot have kids. They've been trying for 17 years.
Wow. So
how I treat Mother's Day changed because I know she's sitting in front of me. So even my language from stage as a pastor around Mother's and Father's Day has greatly shifted every time those Sundays come around, because I have friends that day experienced.
Yeah.
Changed. So if I never had those two as my friends, I mean, oh, happy Mother's Day, and we're all so excited. Hey, guess what? We're not all excited. Hey, guess what? We're not all pumped about this day. But that's because I have friends at my table that have gone through life and have buried children, right? So it's all of that stuff that when you live life in real communities, the whole comfort ideal gets ripped away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because you are faced with it all of the time. So I know that's a simple answer, and I might have more if I thought about it, but I think that's just one of the most natural ways on if we're gonna pop the bubble of the ideal of comfort living, have people in your world that are not.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I appreciate you taking an hour out of your time and
Absolutely.
sharing.
Thank you for having me.